Hello everyone, I'm Wes Sego, and this is Java1Term1406 Week 1 reflection video. And in this video, I'll talk about uh, my week and my project. Go ahead and get going here. My project was just a little calculator. It really doesn't do what it should do. I mean, it's a planetary camera calculator, but it's something that I do plan to work on later. It doesn't really have a whole lot of functionality right now, but we'll get to it later. I'll show you what all it does. So actually, I'll go ahead and run it now before we start talking about it. Basically, there's two different types of planetary cameras. You can use a one-shot color camera or a monochrome camera with filters to pull out the color, to add color to your photos. And if you use the monochrome camera, it will be a whole lot better as far as your results. So just a whole lot of different text boxes, text views. I played around a lot with that this week. I've been really sick, so forgive me if my voice goes in and out, but get to play a little bit with a switch. I put in a toggle switch, so by default it's set for a one-shot color camera. You can change that back and forth between a monochrome camera and a one-shot camera. And if you calculate it basically on a 3-minute photo, basically all it's telling you here is in a one-shot camera you're going to have one sub 3 minutes long. You're going to shoot that through a luminance filter without a filter wheel. So if you move that over to a monochrome camera, you're going to have to use a red, a green, and a blue filter. So you're going to have 60-second subs for each of those filters. So basically that's it. That's what it does. There's some useful functionality that I could add to this later. But for now, that's really it. So getting into my code, again, lots of text views, lots of one or two edit text. Had a couple of buttons. I had a regular button and also a toggle switch. So I hooked those up. The only thing I actually didn't do, excuse me, I got really hung up this week. I have a problem with, first off, I've used Android Studio instead of Eclipse. And unfortunately, I have a problem with the way I have hooked up my version control, my GitHub. It's making a mess every time I used Android Studio to write to VCS. It's just nesting some stuff in there and nesting it in there. So I'm going to have to go get that sorted. But really, that kind of wiped me out here at the end of the week. Got kind of ugly. So in my code, actually, the only thing that I'm missing, I don't have a loop, and it's not because I don't know how to write a loop for it. I just didn't have I didn't really get finished. I wanted to add some other functionality to this thing, and the loop was the last part of that. So I was going to figure in some time calculations with changing between the filters, and that's where I was going to use my loop. But unfortunately, I just wasn't able to get back to it after I finally sorted making the APK and getting my GitHub issue resolved, at least where I could turn this in. I didn't get back to doing it, so that's where that is. So as far as the questions, what does it do? Well, showed you that. It's a planetary camera calculator. On the rubric, everything is there except for the loop. The third question was, how do I feel about Java versus Objective-C? Don't like it. I mean, so far, I really got into this program to deal with Objective-C and iOS, and so it's probably going to be a struggle for me for the next 4 months just to keep myself focused on doing this, because there's a lot going on right now in the iOS world, and so hopefully I'll be able to get through that. So what do I feel I would have done differently? I would have used Eclipse instead of Android Studio. There's just there's not enough documentation out there, solid documentation, for me to excuse me, to get my version control issue sorted in a reasonable amount of time, and that really set me back. So issues that I felt like I needed more clarification on. Really, the APK thing was a distraction. I mean, setting up a key store at the very end, just kind of felt like that whenever Android Studio was installed, those things, and I get it, it's not it's not ready for primetime software, but those things should have been handled. So, in any case, thank you for watching. Everyone, have a great week.